Alright, so we did some work on the shop truck recently. We got our EGR system out of here because it was failing and dumping coolant into the intake there, causing some rough running issues. So we kind of, did the old EGR delete, which is good. It'll help out fuel economy. We also had to do it because our thermostats were failing. That's our thermostat housing right down there. And it seemed like, at least for me, that you couldn't even get to that thing without taking the EGR out. So we did that recently, but unfortunately, we discovered a lot of corrosion here on the battery. It actually destroyed the terminal for it, so we had to replace that. We actually replaced the battery as well, both of the batteries on this thing. But for some reason, for the day and a half that this thing was taken apart, we also hurt our little old alternator down there. So it is only pushing out about 11.5 volts right now, so the truck will run. It runs fine, but you can see down there, maybe you can see down there, it's kind of old. The winding is looking a little crusty. If you look there at the windings, not that great. So we're going to go ahead and take this thing off. We'll give you a little how-to. First thing we're going to do, because access is very tight, we got to pull this tensioner out of the way down here, the belt tensioner. We're probably just going to remove this intake pipe so that you guys can see a bit more, and then we're not going to be fighting it so much. So we're going to disconnect the batteries first, that one and that one, and then we'll go ahead and pull this intake pipe out of the way, and we'll start by loosening that belt tensioner. We're also going to take this battery out of here, and maybe even the battery box, just so that we can see things nice and clearly. These batteries are held in by a really long little 8mm fastener that goes down to a battery clamp. They do corrode, so it's good to hit these with a little bit of PB Blaster before you unbolt these if you haven't done it in a while. We just did this recently because we changed the batteries out, so we're going to go ahead and skip that step. But they do break, so just be careful. These are going to be 11mm bolts here. I'm just going to leave those attached still so they're easy to work with. Less likelihood of losing them as well. Go ahead and get that out of there. Some yummy stuff inside there for sure. You guys can see here I've got this guy kind of propped out of the way. I disconnected it here, as well as from the other charge tube that goes into the intake. Took that one off as well, just 4 bolts. Since we don't have an EGR in this, it's a bit simpler than if you do still have the EGR, but otherwise you'd have to deal with some coolant lines, those electrical connectors that you can see there. We just have a simple piece of pipe, so not quite so bad. So now we should have a little bit of a better view down into where that alternator is there on the left, and then that shiny silver tensioner right there that we need to release the tension on so we can remove the belt and then start working on our bolts from the side. And so we got our intake tube here kind of pried out of the way with some bungee cord here. Now we just need to go down to the tensioner, that guy right there, and we're going to twist it this way to take, sorry, no, we're going to go this way. Go towards the driver's side to get the tension off the bolt. So you're going to run in there with a 3/8 drive ratchet. We'll see if this handle is long enough. We might need a little more leverage. But we'll just get that square drive in there and hopefully be able to get some tension off. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. we definitely need some more leverage for that. I'm gonna grab a pipe. All right, instead of a pipe, I went with something a little smaller, just because it's kind of tight in here. We're gonna use this this boxed end, this ratcheting 18. Put it over the end of our ratchet and see if we can get some extra leverage. It's feeling better. Still not easy though. Alright, that was just enough for me to pop the belt off of the alternator there. So we are ready to move to the next step. And I'm just going to leave that whole setup in there, the ratchet down there, the ratcheting wrench there, so that when I need to go put that belt back on, hopefully it's nice and quick and easy. So now we're just going to lift the truck up a little bit, go ahead and pop the lug nuts off of that tire, and then we'll remove the wheel well liner that's in there. So we have access from the side to get those three alternator bolts out of there. We got 21mm lugs on this truck, 8 of them. Alright, next we're going to remove whatever screws we have left in here holding this wheel liner in. Might have 1 or 2 up here, looks like 1 back there, and then the rest are going to be kind of along the edge. Potentially a couple under here, maybe a clip or 2, looks like that's clear. Up under the front though, oh, those are missing, so no need to worry about those. Alright, we're going to attack these little ones with a 7/32 socket. And then the bigger one that we have is going to be an 8mm. So this thing's kind of a bear to get out because it actually clips up under here, underneath the fender here, this lip of the fender. You can actually see someone's been in here before. If I can get that to focus. Been in here before with a tool and actually pried on it. This bends pretty easy, so this is no big deal. We'll just tap that back into place. It's like an inch under this lip, so you really got to push it pretty far back and then pull this back part of it out while you're pushing back to get it to free up here. It can be kind of a pain in the ass. So we're going to give it a shot, see how long it takes us, and then I'll just report back. You can see here I actually used a lighter to soften this plastic here. It's a trick I've done before. Up here in the wheel well, it indexes on this stud here, which I'm sure was supposed to have a bolt on it at some point. This one's long gone. But when you're pushing, when you have to push towards the back here, it hangs up on there and you can't really pry it down easily. The plastic's too tough. So you soften the plastic up there. And if you do have your bolt or your nut with a big washer on it, it's no big deal. A little bit of deformed plastic isn't gonna stop it from protecting things under here. But that made it go by in like a minute instead of like 10 minutes. So a little tip for you guys there. Okay, now we got the truck up a little bit higher, we can stand underneath it. We'll go ahead and tackle these couple of bolts that are holding the alternator in. We've got 2 on the bottom here, 1 up there at the top, and then we have a connector here and a large power wire that comes from your batteries that we're going to disconnect and then reconnect onto our new alternator. This one is actually original Fomoco branded. You can see that. So I'm not sure if this has ever been replaced in the last 18 years or 230,000 miles, but if it hasn't, that's pretty freaking impressive. Alright, so next we're going to hit these bolts here. These are 15s. Get a nice good extension on there and a shallow socket because they're kind of angled down a little bit here. This was broken off at some point. Down there. I'll do this bottom one, and then hopefully I'll have enough clearance there to get these connectors off of there. Just gonna press on this detent here with my pick, and then wiggle it off with my other hand. Or not. So if these guys are really stuck, these electrical connectors, you can spray some WD-40 or something on them, and that helps a ton. So we're going to do that. Yeah, that was so much easier. That took almost no force with a little bit of lubricant on there. Just the dirt and the road grime and stuff that gets up inside these connectors, and then it's like welded on almost. A little bit of WD-40 does the trick. Next thing, we'll take this boot off the back and we'll get our positive cable off of here. I think we're actually going to leave that one. That seems a little bit too tight. The bolt's actually recessed inside, so we're going to leave that until we get the top bolt off. We'll have the thing dangling here a little bit, but we should be able to access that without damaging the wire. Get our top bolt. Okay, now we've got much better access to this. This looks like a 13. Don't want to lose that. There we go, a little bit of a wiggle and she comes right out. We definitely lost our top bolt in there somewhere, so we're going to have to go find that, fish that out of there. Oh no, looks like that top bolt stays retained in this clamp here, so we're good to go. Let's go grab the new one. Okay, here's the nice shiny new one. Got a fresh bolt there on our terminal for the positive battery cable. And take that off, and we're going to attach our cable first, and we're just going to set it into place a little bit and then attach our cable before we do any of the other bolts on it. Use one hand to kind of support it. You can find that bolt hole for the top bolt and get it started. And then you've got the thing hanging there. It's not going to fall on you. Get your other two bolts started. We're going to snug these up with our ratchet, and then we will find our torque spec here in a moment. Torque on these looks like it's about 35 foot-pounds. We've got our torque wrench set here. There we go. Okay. So we've already got our connector on the back. It looks like our boot moved a little bit, so just make sure that that is covered, because that will have juice run into it basically at all times. It'll be always hot. We don't want that exposed. Got our connector back on, nice and solid. Now we just need to rerun our belt back over the pulley and put everything back up together up top, and we should be good to go. All right, we got our belt repositioned on the new alternator. We're going to go ahead and put our intake back together, put our battery back in, reconnect the other battery, and then we'll give her a test fire, see how she does. Okay, we got 12 volts. When we were driving before, we only had about 11.7, 11.5. So this is a good sign. We're showing 12, which is nice. Let's see if we can get this battery light to go off. Oh my gosh, perfect. Immediately. It's only 12.2, 12.5. Okay, we're going up. So these batteries, I've been driving around for about a day. They probably do need to be charged up a little bit. But luckily that light being gone means that the car is communicating with the alternator and it's charging. We got 13 volts. We really do want to be between 13.5 and 14.5 volts. So hopefully after a little bit of driving, this voltage number will go up, and we'll be back at where we usually are. We used to be at like 14.1 on this truck, so hopefully we're all good now. And that is your alternator. Some newer Fords, you have to actually kind of program the alternator to the car or it won't work. Luckily on this 2008 with the Powerstroke, you don't have to do that. But just be aware, if you're working on something, this is 2008, 2010, specific to the 6.4 Powerstroke diesel with a single alternator. Some of them come with two. So it's kind of a really specific job. If you got two, it's going to be slightly different. I think your alternators, instead of being 200 amp alternators, are 140, and there's two of them. And then this one is a single 200 amp and a dual battery setup. So hopefully this worked for you guys. Hopefully it helps you get out of a pickle. I was really confused. I had old batteries in there, 5 years old. I had an old alternator in there. Everything was fine until I disconnected the batteries to do a job. It sat for a day or so, and then as soon as I went to fire the truck back up, doing the job that I did, I had this battery light and weird voltages. So the truck ran fine. I was lucky that it ran fine, but ultimately I replaced two batteries, $400, and then a $280 alternator. But at least now we don't have to worry about that for a few years. Those should last for a while. All right, guys, good luck out there. Look at that. We've already got 2 minutes we've been talking. We're already up to 13.3 volts. So there we go. We'll see you back here. We'll probably do some more work on this shop truck. It always seems to need something, so we'll keep you posted. And hopefully, if you've got one of these, we can help you kind of get through your projects as well. All right, good luck out there, guys.